This is part 2 of my NBA predictions. This is going to be my Eastern Conference, and my finals prediction will be in this video as well. If you want to see my Western Conference predictions, the link to that video will be in the description. But without further ado, let's get into it. With the first seed, I'm going to have the Boston Celtics. I don't think there's really a hot take. They bring in Drew Holiday, and they bring in Kristaps Porzingis. So they bring in two really good quality defenders. Drew Holiday is regarded as the best perimeter defender in the NBA, and Porzingis is a good enough rim protector. Yes, they do lose Marcus Smart, but they replace him with Drew Holiday, so they essentially swapped out Marcus Smart for a more souped-up version of Marcus Smart. Derek White is still here. Obviously, there's always going to be questions about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum as a duo, but in the NBA, you're always looking for two high-end wing elite players, and that's what they are. In my opinion, Jason Tatum wins his first MVP this year. I think he's just going to take a step. He did average 30 and 8 this past season, but I just think his efficiency is just going to take another step, and the Boston Celtics are going to be in the end. A lot of people have the Celtics not just making the finals, but winning the finals, and that prediction you will see later on in this video. But yeah, I got the Boston Celtics as the number 1 seed. They're just a very well-rounded roster, and Joe Mazzulla proved last year that he is a good head coach in the National Basketball Association. With the 2 seed, I have the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis just re-signed for another 3 years. They obviously bring in Dame. That was a big trade. But they also still have Brook Lopez. They bring in Malik Beasley. And they still have that championship culture. Yes, they have a new head coach and Coach Griffin now. But as long as you have Giannis, you always have a chance. And as long as you have Damian Lillard as well, pairing with him, with Giannis and Chris Middleton, you're always going to have a chance. Chris Middleton, if he can stay healthy this year, that does a lot for the Bucks. And even if he doesn't, Dame and Giannis is enough to get you to a 2 seed. I'm very excited because on paper, Dame and Giannis are the most complementary to each other's games. And I'm excited to watch them this year. And I think it's going to be as fun as a lot of people think it's going to be. And I'm excited to really see Giannis with someone that can stretch the floor as much as a Damian Lillard can. At the 3 seed, I have the Miami Heat. And while historically the Heat and the Jimmy Butler era have really not cared about the regular season, I think that will be different this year because of the way the Eastern Conference is shaping up. I think they're going to have to win more than what they typically do. And I think just after last season, making it to the finals, the Heat are going to want to get off to a fast track. I think Bam is going to be the Defensive Player of the Year this year, and I think Coach Spo is going to get his first Coach of the Year as well. That was in my NBA awards video. If you want to watch that, it's just a couple videos back. And I just think that Jimmy, Bam, and with them, the Heat not trading for Bradley Beal or Damian Lillard, like a lot of people thought he was going to end up, I think Jimmy and Bam just have something to prove. And with Tyler Hero, he's going to have something to prove. He's been in trade rumors for it's been the last 2 to 3 years now. He's in the media. He just sounds fed up. And they still have Caleb Martin. Well, yes, they did leave Gabe Vincent, but they did draft Jaime Jaquez Jr. out at UCLA, who I think fits the Miami Heat culture very well, and I think he will be able to start real minutes and get real minutes right away. I think my first shock for the Eastern Conference is having the Indiana Pacers in the 4 seed. Would be a massive jump for them, and I see it. Tyrese Halliburton's coming off an all-star year. I imagine he'll have another one. They still have Miles Turner, who's a really good center. They still have Buddy Hield, even though there's been some trade talks around him. They signed Bruce Brown away from the Nuggets. That gives them some real defensive presence. And they also traded for Obi Toppin. And while, no, I'm not the biggest Obi fan, I do think this is the perfect spot for him as he is a high flyer. And we know how Tyrese Halliburton likes to push the ball. So I think those two will work really well together. They also have Andrew Nembhard. And I want to mention him because he's in due for a leap this year. And I think TJ McConnell, there's been a lot of smoke around him getting traded specifically to Phoenix. And that's just going to open up more minutes for Andrew Nembhard, and I think that would be great for the Pacers. With Tyrese Halliburton growing even more, you saw in the core of him and Miles Turner, and you have to imagine that they'll be adding with the trades of a Buddy Hield that will be soon to be coming, and then a trade of TJ McConnell to open up more minutes for Andrew Nembhard. And don't forget about Benedict Mathurin, who was a great 6-man, came into the league and could score with the best of them. And I imagine he's just going to continue to get that. If he could really lock in on the defensive end, that would be great for this Pacers team because the lineup of Halliburton, Mathurin, and Bruce Brown on the perimeter could give teams fits. As my 5th seed, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. With the backcourt of Garland and Mitchell, the Cavs are going to be back in the playoffs, back in the postseason. They just kind of took some time to learn how to play with each other last year. And the one thing this team really missed was shooting last year, and they fix that, bringing in Max Scherzer from the Heat and Georges Niang from the 76ers. You still have Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley down low, so you really have that great defensive presence down low still. Evan Mobley's continuing to grow. He kind of took a step back last year in some people's eyes. He didn't take that giant leap that a lot of people saw coming from him, but I think that was just with the addition of Donovan Mitchell. Everyone kind of had to figure out how to play with each other, but I think with a full year and a full offseason together, we'll finally see the Cavs team come together and see that leap from Evan Mobley that we all thought we would see. I think Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell will be back as all-stars, and I think that Max Scherzer and Georges Niang, it's just going to give them the shooting that they really lacked last year. They made the playoffs last year without it, but it really showed in that series against the Knicks. As my sixth seed, I have the Philadelphia 76ers. There's just a lot of questions surrounding this team. We all know Joel Embiid is great. He's going to be what Joel does. But the James Harden trade, it's coming at any moment. He's not going to be on this team for much longer. But they still have Tyrese Maxey, and Tyrese Maxey is a great. They still have PJ Tucker, and they brought in Patrick Beverley and Kelly Oubre to give them some much-needed athleticism on the perimeter. Beverley would just be that annoying pest like he always is. But I think even with the trade, though, James Harden to the Clippers, which is where we all think he's going to end up, and that's where it happens. We imagine Terrence Mann comes back to Philly. But a team of Maxey and Embiid, and with who knows how long Harden's out, probably just sits out till the trade deadline potentially. And I just think that's just too much. Philly gets to the 6th seed. I think the Joel Embiid rumors really start to heat up around January, February, and really going into the offseason after another disappointing year for the 76ers. As my 7th seed, I have the Chicago Bulls. That might be a surprise to some people. I think a lot of people think they're going to be selling at the deadline. But last year, this Bulls team was bad on offense and great on defense. And looking at the personnel, you would think would be the opposite. Difference was a lot of the shots that fell in DeMar's first year in Chicago just didn't fall. And Zach LaVine's battling injuries, and he's battling injuries at the beginning of this year. Don't know how long he's going to be out. It's not expected to be too long. But I think an underrated thing was Kobe White really blossomed into what the Bulls thought he could be when they drafted him, and that's why they gave him the extension to keep him. They have Patrick Williams, who's a really good defender. He's just got to keep him to grow on offense. They brought back Vucevic, who is above average center. They still have Andre Drummond, and they brought in Javon Carter and Torrey Craig, who are from winning organizations, and those guys always help. And a guy like Torrey Craig, who's just a hustle guy and going to out-hustle guys, that can get you a win during the regular season. I think the Bulls will finish at about at 500, maybe a game or two over 500, but I think they do make the playoffs. Obviously, this whole year without Lonzo is going to hurt them, but I think DeMar and Zach LaVine and Vucevic, after a disappointing year last year, I think their team is back in the postseason this upcoming season. My biggest hot take for the Eastern Conference, the Orlando Magic are ending their playoff drought. Paulo Banchero showed last year, winning Rookie of the Year, that he's ready to be a 1. Franz Wagner's continuing to take steps in his career. Not a lot of people are noticing because not a lot of people are watching Magic games. But they also have Wendell Carter down low, who's one of the better centers in the league. Great shot blocker, can stretch the floor, and a really good playmaker. They also have a good guard rotation. Markelle Fultz, Cole Anthony, and Jalen Suggs all are high IQ, can get to the basket and play good defense. And they also drafted Jet Howard and Anthony Black. Jet Howard adds really some much-needed perimeter shooting to this Magic team, and Anthony Black just continues to add another high IQ playmaking defender to this team. And I think Anthony Black has a chance to be a really high-end NBA player. And they also bring in Joe Ingles, who's a vet. No, he's not the Joe Ingles that he was in Utah, but he's a vet that's won and can really show the young guys in this young Orlando Magic team how to win. I think the Magic are going to surprise a lot of people this year. Paulo take a step. I think there's a chance Paulo even makes an all-star team only in his second year. And Franz Wagner is turning into an elite wing player, which every team needs. He's been a primary on-ball player, and he's even played off-ball as well. This Magic team's ready to take the step, and this year they will show everyone why, and people that were sleeping are not going to be seeing it coming, but the Magic are ready for primetime basketball. I think the Knicks will be a play-in team, just not a playoff team. I think with all the talk around Evan Fournier demanding a trade, there's still rumors out there about Julius Randle potentially getting traded. I think the Knicks just missed the playoffs this year and then reset next offseason. And then same with the Nets. After the trade, the Nets went under 500. And while, yes, that's a big trade, I just don't trust the team yet with Mikal Bridges as their number 1. Mikal is a great player, yes, but he hasn't shown that he could really lead a team. And maybe we do get that with Ben Simmons coming back. But Ben Simmons, a long history of injuries, I just don't know if I can trust him. I think the Nets are also a play-in team. They just don't squeak into the playoffs. Now, time for my NBA Finals. I think it'll be Suns-Bucks again that we got a couple years ago. And I think it's the Suns squeaking out in 6 against the Bucks. Bradley Beal addition to the Suns does so much for the rim pressure, which they severely lacked last year, and they added great depth pieces like Grayson Allen, Eric Gordon, Ute Watanabe, and they brought back Josh Okogie, who was a great defender for them. And the Bucks are just a winning organization. Adding Dame to a team that's in a core that's already won a championship, it's just going to take them into an even next level, which is kind of scary to think about for the rest of the league. But I think the Suns pull it out in 6 over the Milwaukee Bucks. As always, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And let me know down below, what are your Eastern Conference predictions and what is your finals predictions?